All right. No, allow viewers to request me. All right. All right, y'all. It is Monday night, later than I wanted to be coming on here to do this video, but you know, such is life sometimes, right? I really want to talk this evening about this recent USA Today article that was posted or that was published, I believe it was Thursday, that talked specifically about maternal mortality and morbidity around the country, but it focused on what they were saying, 120 hospitals that have rates and outcomes far worse than most other hospitals inside of the country. And side note, I'm on Facebook and I'm on Instagram. Instagram, I know you're sideways. That's because my phone is on the charger. So bear with me and just kind of hang out and, anyway. So those of you who may follow me on my Facebook page as well as on Instagram, you might have noticed that I posted a comment or I made a post that said, I can't stop crying. I read the USA Today article and I can't stop crying. So for those of you who have not read the article, all you have to do is Google USA Today, maternal morbidity, maternal mortality. You can find it very easily. Like I said, it was posted on Thursday. I had access to the article first thing Thursday morning, but I didn't read it in full until Saturday. And I'm really glad that I took some time before I read it because it really was a very jarring article. And so after reading the article, I made the post that said I couldn't stop crying. And I just wanted to kind of give some background on that. So when I made that statement, yes, the article is very sad. And the article brings up a lot of things that can make anyone angry, sad, scared, upset, a whole variety of things. For me personally, it brought up so many memories. So I've been doing this labor and delivery thing. I'd done it for like 20 years before I stopped working as a labor and delivery nurse. And when I tell you that I've worked all across the country and I've seen so many things, so much trauma, I unfortunately participated and I inflicted trauma on people as a labor and delivery nurse. And reading that article brought up so many of those memories. So if you're a birth worker and you are having secondary trauma, I never thought that stuff would come out of me the way that it did on Saturday. I literally cried for hours. I went into a yoga class, and while I was in yoga, I was okay. And as soon as I came out of yoga, I began crying again. And what was happening was, it was like I was re-triggered and reimagining and reliving all of the times when I was there. When I was making the phone calls, calling the doctor, he's not answering, she's not available, nobody's coming, calling the house supervisor. I work night shift, right? So all of my night nurses, y'all know how it gets down on the night shift, right? Like we band together, we hold it down tight. Shit gets real sometimes. And all kind of stuff just started bubbling up out of me. And I was amazed at how upset I was and how it really brought me to tears. And the thing that was most frightening and upsetting for me was that the shit hasn't changed. Like, this shit been going down since I was a new labor and delivery nurse in 1995. And let me be very clear. I've never worked at Two Road Hospital, which was and that was the other thing. It was so close to home, right? So they talked about there were 120 hospitals that have outcomes that are like 2 and 3 times far worse than other hospitals around the country in maternity care. But the hospital that they talked about the most repeatedly and gave example after example was a local hospital here in New Orleans. I've never worked at that hospital, so I cannot speak specifically for that hospital. But what I can say is I have worked in teaching facilities. I have worked with residency programs. I have worked in scenarios where the lower residents don't necessarily call the upper level residents because they have like this fraternal hazing type experience happening, and nobody wants to get in trouble. Nobody wants to say that they don't know. Nobody wants to report things, and shit sometimes can get nasty. I have been very fortunate in my career that I didn't really ever have personal experience with really bad outcomes like the ones that were reported inside of this article. But I promise you, there were times when things were close, where I was scared, where I was nervous, and the doctor wasn't coming in to do a necessary C-section, or this one wasn't available to write the proper medical orders, so on and so forth. So that said, I'm not suggesting that what USA Today reported on had no bearing and had no truth. Again, I never worked at Sura Hospital. But what bothered me about the article was not the stories that they told, but that I feel like right now in this age, in this state of heightened awareness, let's make people aware, we're bringing all of this information to women, but nobody's offering solutions. So now I'm getting emails, and in fact, it was probably 2 days before this article came out, I had someone ask me for a recommendation about where they should have their baby, and I recommended that they see the midwife that works at Suro Hospital, and I still would recommend that somebody see that midwife at Suro Hospital. And so it becomes very concerning when USA Today puts out this information and they ruffle all of these feathers and they create all of this fear, and they're not creating solutions or talking about solutions about what we can do to shift the outcomes, to have better outcomes, to not suffer maternal morbidity and maternal mortality. And for those of you who don't know, when we talk about maternal morbidity, we're talking about a mom who has suffered a severe injury where she didn't die, but she had a lot of complications and could have died or maybe came near death. And it's a really frightening statistic that tells us that for every woman who actually dies with having her baby, there are anywhere from 40 to 70 women who suffer severe complications, depending on the statistics that you look at. And so my question then becomes, what can we do? And I want Black women not to move forward, and really any woman who's having a baby, not to read these articles and think about the fact that the United States has some of the worst maternal mortality in the world, but that we begin to ask ourselves and tell ourselves and support each other in the space of what can we do differently? Because you see, when we begin to have fear around being pregnant, around being and having our babies, all we're doing is shifting the hormonal cocktail that we need to have and making it more likely that we will have problems. Not to say by any stretch of the imagination that any of these things are the mother's fault or the family's fault. I get that they're not, right? And we have to begin taking hold and control where we can. There are some things that we are not going to be in control of, particularly if we go into the hospital to have our babies. There are certainly some things in the horizon. I'm happy to be a part of some different initiatives that are statewide to improve outcomes, not just in New Orleans, not just at the hospital that was named, but also across our state. That's great. That's good. Okay. But in the meantime, as we read articles like this, what can we do? And those of us who are in this work, as we want to share this information and we want people to be aware of the risk of going into the hospital to have their babies, we also want to be mindful that the more we make people aware, for some people, all we're doing is increasing their fear, because now I'm getting emails and comments left on posts. I'm scared. I'm 3 months pregnant. I'm 4 months pregnant. I need some help. I don't know what to do. I am afraid to have my baby. There are people who are walking around scared to become pregnant now because of these statistics. So, Amy, just hearing you talk hypes me up. Hey, Amy, miss you too. So it's like a really interesting thing. And what I want us to do is really begin focusing on some solutions. So this is where conscious conception becomes imperative. We have got to begin having babies as we want them, not being stressed out. We've got to begin taking care of our souls, of our bodies, of our wombs, of our energies. We have to know that when we are pregnant, we have to choose midwives. We have to hire doulas. We have to consider home birth as an option. We have to not be induced. So many cesarean sections and so many things in maternal morbidity are connected to cesarean sections. And when you get an induction, when you agree to an induction that is not medically necessary, you like double your risk of a cesarean section. Women who have C-sections are more likely to have a problem. We have got to choose differently. Choose a midwife. I beg of you to choose a midwife. Are all of the midwives perfect? No, not every midwife is perfect, and they're not going to necessarily, especially if they're at a hospital, it's going to be what it is. That said, I would still rather you choose a midwife wherever you can before choosing a physician, because generally speaking, we will have a better outcome with a midwife. Rose is correct. We have to speak life into our mothers. If you are doing this work, man, help the moms that you are working with to release these fears, to release them, to affirm her health, to affirm her pregnancy full term and normal, to affirm that she will be healthy, that she's doing the things to maintain her health, that she's drinking her nettle tea, drinking her red raspberry, exercising, meditating, going outside to walk under the trees, doing her yoga, making sure that when you go to a prenatal appointment, you are bringing people with you. Do not go to all of your prenatal appointments by yourself. I don't care if you bring your little cousin, your nan, your mama, your sister, your brother, somebody, your uncle. Bring somebody with you to your prenatal appointments to remind you of the questions that you need to ask. If there are questions, write them down, and please ask questions. Don't take anything at face value. Everything that they do, every medicine that they want to give you, any procedure that they want to give you, anything that they want to do, ask, and ask again. We have got to do that. What states can we find these midwives? Unfortunately, there are midwives in every state, but they're not black midwives in every state. I can tell you that. But if you go to my directory, SistaMidwife.com, you can find black midwives that are available. If you are a black midwife or doula and you are not on my directory, please get listed for free. The sisters are scared out here. They're looking for you. They come into my website, and I want to make sure that this website is top notch and has as many people listed as possible. So please get yourself listed, whether you birth in the hospital, whether you're home, whether you're licensed, whether you're certified, all of that stuff, it doesn't matter. Go to SistaMidwife.com, SISTA midwife.com. Get yourself listed, because the black women out here are scared. They are being given this information, this new awareness, and now they are moving from faith into a space of fear, and they're looking for you. So definitely get yourself listed. If you cannot find a black midwife in your neighborhood, in your city, girl, guess what? Get you a white midwife, get you a white doula, because at the end of the day, I would prefer for you to still have a midwife, whether it's home or hospital, than to be birthing inside of a system without the support that you need to help you create a better outcome. We have got to move in faith. We have got to understand that being black in and of itself, being black melanin, oh, that don't make you high risk. It's the fact that we live in a society that does not appreciate or value your melanin that makes things high risk. Not because you are simply black. I was 42 years old, and be very, very clear that before I got pregnant, I was nervous, and I had fears inside of me about being pregnant, about being an older black mother. And I went to a workshop. In fact, it was a week-long workshop with a woman named Wapio. If you don't know Wapio, look her up. If you're a birth worker and you haven't taken training with her, check her out. So I took this class with Wapio, and at the end of that week, I was renewed, and my fear had left me, and I had faith to know that I was made to do this, and I was gonna be healthy. And from that moment on, I started taking different care of myself and affirming for me that I knew that I could have a healthy pregnancy and a healthy baby. And I began to move my life in that direction and to make sure that I was affirming it. And I had my altar together, and I was all about what was going to be health. And I had some complications. My baby was born at 35 weeks, and I couldn't stay at home. I could have, but I chose to go to the hospital. She was born at 35 weeks, and so things were not perfect. But I promise you this, they were not inducing me. My water broke at 35 weeks, and they wanted to induce me immediately. I said, no, not this one right here. I had 3 different doctors over the weekend. The first doctor fired me. I had a midwife, a hospital midwife. The first doctor fired me. The second doctor fired me. And then it was a third doctor who came in, who was someone who already knew me, who was like, yeah, we got you. You don't have to worry about being induced. They were pressuring me to be induced. They had me sign off on all kind of papers about the risk of hysterectomy and the risk of infection. But I knew if you did not check my cervix, and if you did not bother me and my baby was good on the monitor, I did not have to worry about infection. And I knew that my baby was okay. You're not inducing me. Synthetic oxytocin has all sorts of risks with it. I'm not even going to use this video today to get into that, but we have to understand that we cannot allow these articles and all of this awareness to move us to fear. So I beg of you, all of my sisters in this work, all of my sister doulas, all of my sister midwives, when you see some pregnant black women out there these days, give them hugs, give them love. Sisters are walking around in fear. And so this notion of awareness, man, I'm like, forget it. They know They know that they could die. They got too many people telling them that they could die. Now we have to let them know how to live, and we have to give them love, and we have to rub their feet, and we have to tell them that they are okay and that we got their back. Because if we don't have their back, you can see in these articles that nobody else is going to have their back. So I beg of you to do that. Help people understand that there are solutions, that we don't have to get induced, that we don't have to have all of these cesarean sections, that home birth is an option. There are so many people, I'm afraid of the pain of having my baby. Now you need to be afraid of going into some of these hospitals. I promise you, your body was made to do this, and you can do this, and you will be okay. You will be okay. You have to believe it. You have to know it. You have to hire the right people to support you. You have to bring your family. You have to ask questions. The medical establishment has a system around medicalized birth that is not serving us. We have got to go back to understanding that our bodies can do this thing. Show up. Be in your body. Love yourself. Love the experience. Birth does not have to be scary. It does not have to be this painful thing. You are not alone. You don't have to be alone. There are so many different options and available to you. I feel like I'm talking in circles. I just really needed to come and give this inspiration and information, because when I read that article, and I know that people are reading it. I know that people are reading it. And it's my understanding that USA Today this is a series, and they're going to keep coming out with articles. And so they're going to be more and more women afraid when they read this. Like I was saying, 2 days before the article came out, I recommended somebody go to the hospital. I visited with a pregnant mom today I had recommended that she switch to the hospital, and her mom is like, no, Nicole, you can't just come over here and catch this baby because we don't know what to do now. You know what I'm saying? People are living in fear. That is not okay. So USA Today, I tell you too, while I hear the truth of it, because I've been there. I've been the nurse on the phone, calling and not getting answers from the doctor. I know that some of what you're talking about is true, but USA Today, you got to bring solutions to people. You can't just come out here with all of this inflammatory information and this, sensationalized stuff. It's true. What happened, these women's stories, they are horrific. They are horrible. They're inexcusable. And I pray that their families and them get whatever they are due for the sacrifices that their families have made in their losses. And I want USA Today to be responsible in their reporting in their journalism, so that people can get the information that they need, not just be frightened because this hospital kills women 3 times more than another hospital. And also be clear, just because your hospital wasn't listed, rest assured, it's hospitals nationwide that have the same foolishness. I've been in them. I'm not even exaggerating, y'all. From coast to coast, New Hampshire to California, I have worked in so many hospitals, whether hands-on as a labor and delivery nurse or as a clinical educator, educating the RNs on the fetal monitoring. I have been in bukus of hospitals, all over hundreds and hundreds all across the country. And I promise you, it's bullshit in every single one. Y'all, I'm up in here cussing tonight. This USA Today article moved me so much. Y'all, we cannot continue to do things the way we've been doing it the past 20 years. We have got to shift it. We have got to shift it. So become a doula. Help your sisters. Go with somebody to appointment. Even if you're not a doula, you got a friend that's pregnant, go with her to her appointments. Go with her to her appointments. Show up with her at the hospital. Rest assured, how they say the squeaky wheel gets the oil. You got more people at the hospital advocating for you is going to give you a better outcome. You understand what you're up against at those hospitals. You know your rights. Ask questions. Ask questions. Decline unnecessary interventions. Protect yourself and also protect your spirit. So if you're pregnant right now, stop reading all this stuff. If you're a doula or a midwife and you have clients that's reading all of this stuff, tell them stop reading all this stuff. Get off of Facebook. Get off of Instagram. Stop reading it, because that's also messing with your mind and making you think that you're incapable of having your baby. I tell people all the time, that's a prescription. One, you cannot be on, drink your herbal tea and get off of social media. You have to get off of social media. You have to stop listening to NPR and all of the crappy reports and all of the things that are telling you that you're at increase of risk of dying. Do we have some risk things going on? Yeah. Don't stress on that. Don't focus on that. Focus on you and your wellness. I tell moms, if you got to go Facebook time someone Facebook time someone for the visit. That's a good idea. That if you have to go along to your prenatal visit, and you can bring your recorders. Everybody got a recorder in a video. Bring stuff with you. And most things, I tell everybody, I talk about this in my trainings. Most things in your pregnancy are not emergent. Are there some things that can be an emergency? Yes. But if you're at a prenatal appointment and they're making recommendations for you, write that stuff down, get it recorded, ask them to spell it, take your time, go home, do a Google search, do an encyclopedia search, call your auntie that's a nurse, ask questions. Ask questions. Is that really necessary? Is there a reason for me to be concerned? Can I have time to think about it? What happens if I don't do any of these things? If we do not begin to take control of our pregnancies and births, we're going to see more of these USA Today articles telling more horrific stories. It doesn't have to be the case. It does not have to be the case. 90% of women can have healthy, normal pregnancies. If you are not healthy and normal in your pregnancy or in your life, get yourself healthy and normal before you get pregnant. That's the conscious conception part, right? So if you have physical ailments, take care of some of that before getting pregnant. If you're in a whole lot of stress, figure out how to get rid of some of your stress before you getting pregnant, whether that's yoga, meditation, getting a massage, whatever you got to do. Y'all, this shit is real. And it's all the way, life and death, literally. And we have to choose life. We have to choose love. We have to choose faith. We have to know that our bodies are meant for this. Birth is the revolution. And the revolution should not be televised. And some of these things that we seeing on TV and videos, we shouldn't even be seeing, right? Because it's also putting stuff in our minds. Yes, I always told my students to ask the doctor to put in writing what he's asking or telling you so that they can do the research. Exactly. Because a lot of times the doctors are using medical lingo and you may or may not even understand what they're saying. You can't spell it correctly. Ask them to spell it. And if they're not willing to do it, when you're leaving the doctor's office, ask the nurse who checks you out. Ask the woman who's going to make your next appointment. Say, hey, the doctor was asking me such and such. I don't understand it. That's how we get to the solutions. Have a home birth. Ask about a VBAC, vaginal birth after cesarean. For most women, 60% of women can go on to have a vaginal birth after cesarean. 60%. Ask about a vaginal birth after cesarean. Let me tell y'all this little secret about how sometimes they'll swindle you. I remember talking to a woman and she said, oh, I had my first C-section with Dr. So-and-so. And I said, oh, okay, yeah, he's known to do a lot of C-sections. I said, did he talk to you about a VBAC? She said, well, no, he said that's not available. I said, right, because he don't do VBACs. And at the hospital where he works, which is the hospital I was working, they don't support VBAC. But we have 6 other hospitals in the area that do babies, that do maternity care. And of those 6 other hospitals, a couple of them do VBACs. Don't take the first answer. Know that a doctor will say, no, you can't transfer. That's another one, right? So you realize that this particular physician is not giving you the care that you want, or the particular midwife is not giving you the care that you want. Choose another provider. Don't ask your current provider for permission to change providers. Most of them will say, oh, no, you can't change doctors. Yes, you can. I have seen a woman change doctors in the middle of her induction because her current doctor wanted to do a cesarean section and she said, I'm not ready for that. I don't think I need a C-section yet. And I helped her. We got another doctor. The other doctor agreed to take over her case. This is like a community hospital in California. Another doctor agreed to take over her case, and she went on to labor for like 12 more hours. Now, this woman, she did end up with a C-section, but guess what? She ended up with a C-section on her own terms and in her own time. And when she had that C-section, she felt very different from the forced C-section that they were trying to push upon her 12 hours prior when I first started my shift. I've also seen women being told that they need a cesarean section, but then a different cesarean section came to be more important, right? 6 hours later, after the C-section had happened and the room got turned over, lo and behold, the important cesarean section, this woman is completely dilated. Ask for more time. Ask for more time. Ask questions. Man, I could tell you stories upon stories upon stories, good and bad, where women failed to ask questions and had a poor outcome, and where women fought tooth and nail and had the outcome that they desired, and everything in between. I've seen it. So know that you do have options, even when you feel like there are no options. I know women who say that they can't do a VBAC because nobody's around, and I know women who said, I'm not listening to that. I'm showing up at the hospital completely dilated and pushing my baby out. Do you have to take the consequences of your decisions? Absolutely. But research and know that you have a right to make some decisions that may not be in alignment with the physicians at the hospital, and that is okay. This is your body. This is your birth. Your womb is special, and your baby is special, and your experience is special, and it will stick with you for the rest of your life. And I don't want this baby to be the end of your life. So ask questions, choose midwives, consider home birth, y'all. I told y'all this in my last live. I didn't believe in home birth 20 years ago when I first come out of midwifery school. I thought it was cute for them, but I wouldn't consider it. I've learned, okay? Now I see it differently. And so I beg of you, particularly for my sisters, get your health in order, have a conscious pregnancy, choose home birth, find you some midwives, get you a doula midwife fund. If you're in your early 20s and you thinking you want to have babies, start saving your money now. Get your home birth midwife money together because you need it and we need you. So with that said, I'm about to get out of here. More time stop me from having a C-section. A midwife work me through it. Thank you. And that's real talk. There are so many people who have been told that they need a C-section, but then the unit gets busy. I done seen this so many times. The unit gets busy, so their emergency C-section doesn't happen, and then 6 hours later, all of a sudden, you completely dilated and pushing your baby out. So ask for more time. Is my baby okay? Is there a reason for me to be concerned? Can I have some time to think about it? Is that really necessary? Is there a reason for me to be concerned? Can I have some time to think about it? Put those in your memory bank. What y'all saying over here on Instagram, y'all? I hope that y'all got something out of here. Peace to everybody. I'm about to get out of here. Share the video, y'all, and just inspire people to just lead with love. Lead with love. Lead with an understanding that you got this. Do not allow this media hype to cloud your ability to connect to who you are as a woman to birth your baby. Don't let them do it to you. And if you're in New Orleans, and you are already planning to have your baby at Turo Hospital, and you have read this article or someone that you know read it, don't let it put fear in y'all. Please don't. Don't let it put fear in you. Don't let it do it, because it's the fear that will fuck up your hormonal cocktail anyway and make things rough. Have faith. Get you a doula. Go to my website. Find you one of my doulas, man. They popping out here in New Orleans. All right, y'all. That's it. Love y'all. Peace.